And then your debt service. And if what you'll see there, you'll see that the debt service is going up significantly in 23 and 24, and actually for several years past that. And that really has to do mostly with the Yadkin project. The Yadkin project's debt is coming on. We'll have to fund that debt. So you'll see that that number goes up to over 25 million, and it'll stay at 25 million for a number of years before it starts to decline. The board did take some action to change rates because of that. We are having a reduction in the revenues. It went down roughly about $3 million to 76.4 million. And then you'll see the 24 estimate would have been around 86 million, but revised because of the rollback with the rates, it's around 76 million. So just be aware that the revenues have changed because of that board action.
Do we want to drink from a fire hose or do we want to drink from a water hose? And we've been drinking from a fire hose, and our citizens in the county, whether they're on the utilities or not, are asking us to drink from a water hose. And so if we are trying to be fiscally responsible and we're trying to do the utility projects fiscally responsible, first of all, maintain the customers that we have in a working system, that they have a system that works, that they can flush the toilet, that they can pull water from their tap and drink it and take a bath and a shower. So I think we're handling that very well. You've said yourself we have almost double the amount of reserves to be able to handle a problem. 2 years. So we've got that covered. What we don't have and we can't predict is, will housing go down, new housing, or will it go up? What are the effects that a lot of these things were done when the interest or when the inflation rates were low and interest rates were low. So now we look at it and say, wait a minute, maybe we need to hold off on that big elephant, and instead of killing a big elephant, let's take care of a few smaller things. And let's make sure that we got what we have in the hand versus waiting 10 years to find out if we can even do a project and spending all that money and raising rates. We can raise taxes and we can raise rates as high as we want to, if we want to. And we have the ability to do that. You talked about the income level of the citizens. Well, some areas of the county have great income levels, some of the highest in the state. Other areas of the county, which will be the same customers on the same system, don't. And we're talking about affordable housing and the effect of affordable housing. Well, if we're basing our projections on wealthy individuals being able to flush their toilet versus a single mom with 2 kids that has to work 5 extra hours a week to pay these increased utility costs and other taxes and other bills that she has to pay, you know, that's what we have to govern to, is that affordable person all the way up to the football or baseball or basketball player living in the county, and we've got some of those. So we have to consider that, and in considering that, I don't see the benefit of going and saying, hey, let's borrow $400 million because we can afford it and we can raise rates on people, when we also have the system development fees, which the builders that I've talked to are willing to pay a little more to take care of that other part of it. And like our manager told us, we have $11 million in system development fees, which before it's been $5 or $6 million a year. So all these things go into the pie of the rating. It's not just it's expenses and it's income. And I would say as long as we have the ability to raise those rates, that we don't have to, we can, but we don't have to, it's a choice. And the developers could pay less system development fees, or they could pay more. It's a choice. And no, I appreciate the presentation because I think it hits the nail on the head that it's the choices we make as a board as to what we continue with. Does our spouse lose their job and we go out and buy a new pickup truck? It doesn't make sense. But yet that's kind of where we've been pushed in the last little bit, is that, hey, look, we might get a lower rating. We might go to a B or a Z or whatever. Let's go buy something new. And I'm just not willing to do that. Resolution to lease the property to Lucas Landscape and Lawn. Commissioner Richard Helms made a motion. Any discussion on that motion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
No. 3-1.
To effectuate said lease by and between Union County and Lucas Lawn and Landscaping Incorporated. Said lease to begin January 17th, 2023, and in 119 months thereafter on December 17th, 2032, at an annual rental of $3,000 per year. This is the 17th day of January 2023.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All opposed. 3-1. So what do you think about just the fact that we were told we had to raise the rates 22% last year to cover and 7% per year for future years to cover the cost of the sewer plant on Ridge Road? When we lowered the rates back or set the rates back, that took that money away. Not all of it, but some of it. And what's the thought on that? Were those numbers included in any of this?
They were.
So they would look even better if we took that project offline?
If you went the rates back, the rates are the issue.
Right, with rolling the rates back and not raising the rates, or raising them as a reasonable, like 1% a year or whatever.
Sure.
What our citizens don't want to do is pay to build new houses, or partially pay for new houses to be built around them.
Certainly, I understand.
Those monies are going to be collected from the home buyers. So now, all of a sudden, we're getting real close to a project that needs to be done and is already permitted. We're just designing it and building it. And I see Edwin there behind you, and Edwin will be glad to know that that project will come a lot quicker than a Crooked Creek plant up north. You're looking at a 2-3 year time frame versus a 10 or 15 year time frame, which I know that you'll be happy with the browning of Union County, I believe is how you mentioned it, and the greening of your pockets. So it'll come quicker. So you should be very satisfied with getting stuff built in Waxhaw in that amount of time, rather than waiting 10, 15 years.
Right.
Well, growth has been on the backs of the ratepayers. I mean, we all have seen that and know that. The 33% increase that was voted on in 2019, and then the 22% increase that was passed last year. The ratepayers feel like they are being pushed upon, and they are.
Sure.
I mean, they're being pushed upon to upfront this money. Melissa, you had a question?
Yeah, so while we were talking about methodologies or whatever, first off, I agree with everything Commissioner Rushing, has presented to you to consider with staff. But the reason I want to come back to rates is, it's very clear the rate increases are to come up with approximately $300 million for a future sewer plant.
Oh, that's
But
certainly
that-
built into, absolutely.
But that should not be, so my philosophy is that should not be on the backs of approximately 13 or 14,000 Union County citizens that got a 33% rate increase, then a 22% rate increase. I haven't seen that anywhere in the presentation tonight. Everything tonight has been talked about a 7% rate increase.
Right.
That's not completely true, because 13 or 14,000 citizens got a 22% rate increase
That was the balancing, yes, ma'am.
after a 33% rate increase.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to share that I cannot support raising rates on non-sewer customers. So I just want to
Certainly.
put that back on the table.
And that's all we need to know. We need to understand the philosophy that the board has. I will tell you, in future years, you are going to need to consider some adjustment for inflation. We can't operate at a 0% rate increase forever.
And I completely agree with that, but not to
Not right
build
now.
a $300 million sewer plant on Ridge Road.
Certainly.
If you're not a sewer customer.
I understand that fully and completely. And to Commissioner Merrill's point, we did not show that, but I want to make sure the public does know that yes, there were rate increases that water customers and water-only customers did actually have to incur, that the board changed. You rolled those back, you eliminated that rate increase from those, for those customers.
Commissioner Richardham, do you have any questions or?
No, one thing I find interesting, I understand, the argument, ratepayers paying for expansion and things like that. We need to have that discussion when it comes to schools and school bonds, because there's a lot of people that don't have kids, so I guess we need to only tax people that have children under that philosophy.
Well,
That's
the-
completely unfair because that's a state statute for K-12 education. So thank you very much.
And I'd also say, Commissioner Richard Elms, that we vote on those bonds. The people vote. Taxpayers vote on those bonds. The taxpayers have no opportunity, as we heard earlier, to vote on sewer plant bonds. So there's a difference. Commissioner Brian Helms, did you have any questions?
No, I mean, I agree with Commissioner Merrill's comments regarding the rate increases and the burden that placed on ratepayers in the county. I've already expressed my views regarding that. I don't agree with it. I share her belief as well. And I would say that, to Commissioner Helms's point, yes, we have a legal obligation to educate children. And as we saw in the November election, the voters made their voices loud and clear regarding the bonds. Sorry.
Commissioner Brian Helms?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for all that attended the meeting tonight. Thanks for our staff for putting us in long hours, giving us updates as necessary. I want to encourage everybody listening from home and watching the live stream that Union County is still in good shape. So this has not been a huge surprise to at least me and I think my fellow commissioners what we've seen today. We're going to continue to look for creative ways to fund the projects that are necessary to sustain our county. So I want to assure everybody from home that that's what we're going to do, and I think that everyone will see that we are committed to Union County and making sure that we can take care of our ratepayers and our taxpayers here. So thank you.
Commissioner Vice Chairman Melissa Merrill, no comments. I'd just like to echo what Commissioner Brian Helms said. We are a team in this, and that includes the whole community, our economic development partners, and everybody's a team in this. And we can do it, and it can be done. It's just how fast and how much does it cost. And with that, I'd like to say good night, and everybody have a safe trip home.